Alicia Gray is having a word with someone in the crowd, and now security is also involved.
Well, looks like that fan is being
Everyone expected a dynasty, a seamless passing of the torch that would ignite a new era for the WNBA. When the Indiana Fever drafted Caitlin Clark to pair with their reigning Rookie of the Year, Aaliyah Boston, the league thought a new powerhouse was born overnight. But what they got instead was a dumpster fire of bad chemistry, silent locker room tensions, and on-court frustration that threatened to implode the entire franchise before it even got started. The shocking truth wasn't that they struggled, it was that for a terrifying period, the two stars looked like they couldn't even stand to be on the same court, creating a disaster that almost never recovered.
It's clear to us the WNBA does not appreciate fans, don't want us there. We have been thrown out of games for a multitude of ridiculous things. We have watched these players complain and trash us all. They called half of us racist. They've called all types of stuff. All types of stuff. Now, without Caitlin Clark, the viewership has been cut in half by 50%. 50% for the playoffs. For the playoffs, y'all. And they still are getting fans thrown out of games.
Before the Clarkquake reshaped the entire league, the Indiana Fever was Aaliyah Boston's kingdom, and there was no question about it. As the #1 overall pick in 2023, she was crowned the franchise savior, a powerful and polished force in the paint who unanimously won Rookie of the Year honors. The team was being built in her image, brick by brick, with her as the foundational cornerstone. She was the undisputed leader, the focal point of the offense, and the undeniable face of Indiana's future. For one solid year, the plan was clear. Build around Boston and rise. Then, in one night, that entire blueprint was ripped to shreds.
She got a fan kicked out last night against the Indiana Fever, only for the fan to speak their piece to the security. Security found out, oh, you didn't say anything at all, actually. Yeah, come back to your seat. Let me just wipe that seat off for you. Here, please, have a seat, ma'am. Alicia Gray played like absolute you-know-what last night, and decided to take it out on a fan.
The arrival of Caitlin Clark wasn't just a draft pick, it was a cultural phenomenon that instantly and completely overshadowed everyone in her orbit, especially Aaliyah Boston. Suddenly, every camera, every pre-game interview, and every single headline was about Clark. Ticket sales went from thousands to sold-out arenas, jersey sales broke records, and national attention all skyrocketed because of one player. Boston, the reigning rookie queen, was unceremoniously relegated to the role of co-star in her own show, and the world watched to see how she'd handle it. The pressure was immediate and immense, and the cracks started to show before they even played a single real game together.
Security brought this couple back in and apologized to them. All right? They removed the couple because they do it to let the players calm down. Because it's clear these players aren't professionals. Hey, that's what you owe us. You owe us at this point. Stop it. Stop it. So,
from the opening tip of the season, the on-court product was a broken, disjointed mess. The dream duo looked more like two strangers forced to work together on a project they both hated. Clark's signature long-range passes, which were laser accurate in college, would sail out of bounds, completely missing a cutting Boston. Boston, who thrived on a steady diet of post touches, seemed to completely vanish from the offense for entire quarters, becoming little more than a screener and rebounder. It was painfully obvious this wasn't a simple chemistry issue that needed time. It was a fundamental chemistry crisis, and it was getting worse with every loss.
Of the situation, the guy in the black hat yelled to Lexi, who was running to guard Gray, and said, quote, "You're good, Lex. She's not even trying anymore." Gray lost her shit and said some very nasty words to the guy and the people next to him. Because he said she's not even trying anymore. She can't handle that kind of heckling. Are you kidding me? Quit sports today.
The numbers didn't lie, they screamed dysfunction from the box score. In her rookie season, Boston averaged nearly 15 points on a stunning 58% shooting, a model of efficiency. In the first dozen games with Clark, those numbers cratered. Her shot attempts per game were nearly cut in half, and her scoring average dipped into single digits on some nights. She went from being the primary offensive weapon to an afterthought. The analytics confirmed what every viewer could see. The ball simply wasn't finding its way into the hands of their most efficient interior player, and it was costing them games in excruciating fashion.
The guy did not say anything out of line whatsoever. They were let back in shortly after. When asked what happened, he said that they said it was protocol to remove the fan to allow the player to calm down. I mean, all these players ought to be playing in bozo outfits. Gray had a bad night, and there is no excuse for the things she said or the way she...
As the losses piled up and the on-court awkwardness continued, the whispers grew into a deafening roar across social media and sports talk shows. Fans and analysts started asking the forbidden question aloud: was this jealous? Social media was flooded with Zapruder-like films of game clips where it looked like Boston was being intentionally frozen out of plays or that Clark was ignoring her wide open in the paint. The narrative suggested a quiet resentment was brewing, that Boston couldn't handle being demoted to second fiddle after just 1 year as the queen. While never confirmed by anyone inside the locker room, the damning on-court evidence made the theory impossible to ignore.
Alicia Gray getting this fan kicked out, and of course, the internet went ablaze. Oh my God, those Indiana Fever fans! Bah, 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 bah. Of course, after the fake hoax of early this year with Angel Reese, Angel Smollett, some people are calling her. The fake race hoax, people were saying, "Oh my gosh, those Indiana Fever fans! What could they have possibly said?" And the rumor mill starts going, and the rumor mill starts going, and the rumor mill starts going.
The media machine poured gasoline on the fire. Every awkward interaction, every missed high five, and every frustrated glance on the bench was clipped, analyzed, and broadcast on a loop. Shows like First Take and Undisputed dedicated entire segments to the Fever's broken locker room, debating whether the two stars could ever coexist. The constant scrutiny created an inescapable pressure cooker, turning a basketball problem into a full-blown soap opera. It was no longer about winning games, it was about managing a public relations nightmare that was spiraling out of control.
WNBA players, you guys are not ready for the big lights. You're not ready for the big lights. You're not ready. I could look you in your eyes and see you're not ready. Y'all can't handle people showing up to games. Y'all can't handle people actually being interested, invested.
If there's anything I know, there's nothing like playoff basketball in Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
We come to you from Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, the first home playoff game for the Fever since 2016. Need to win this to force it.
Then came the cheap shot heard round the world, the moment that exposed the true cracks in the Fever's foundation. When Chicago Sky's Chenoweth Carter hip-checked Caitlin Clark to the floor in a blatant aggressive off-ball foul, the world watched and waited for her teammates to retaliate. Instead, for a few agonizing seconds, there was a deafening silence and inaction. No one immediately rushed to Carter's face to defend their superstar. The image of Clark on the floor alone, with her teammates slowly and calmly walking over, became a damning symbol of a disconnected and fractured team. It wasn't just a foul, it was a test of loyalty, and in that moment, the Fever appeared to fail.
Fever, go! Bow, bow, bow! Let's go! Fever! Go, Fever!
Let's go, Fever! Fever in 3!
Let's go! Play out, baby! This is the reason! This is our season! Return up time! Indiana Fever! That time we on the map! Let's go!
The fallout from the Carter incident was a media firestorm that forced the team's hand. The league eventually upgraded the foul to a flagrant 1 and fined Carter, but the damage to the Fever's image was already done. Players were hounded with questions about their lack of response, forcing them to release carefully worded statements about having each other's backs. The incident put a national microscope on their internal dynamics, exposing a potential lack of unity that went far beyond simple on-court chemistry issues. It was an embarrassing look for a team that desperately needed to project strength.
There's a certain desperation that has to come with how you play every possession. I didn't feel like in game one we played with that desperate, mentality that we needed, particularly when you look at 50-50 balls, when you look at how many times, we didn't get inside the three-point line for a defensive rebound and the ball hit the floor and they were able to get it. There's got to be a desperation that you play with and a sense of urgency that you play with at all times. We didn't have that consistently for 40 minutes in game one. I expect us to have it here.
With the team in a complete spiral, public and media focus shifted directly to the person in charge of managing the chaos, Coach Christie Sides. Her decisions were becoming more and more bizarre and indefensible. She'd bench her stars at crucial moments in the fourth quarter, and in press conferences often sounded like she was publicly criticizing them rather than protecting them. She seemed completely unable to design an offense that allowed two generational talents to coexist, instead forcing them into a system that highlighted their weaknesses. Fans and critics began to wonder if the real problem was on the sideline, not in the locker room.
Boston backing down Jones, post moves, banks it in, bow, bow, bow. Underway, it's 2-0 Fever through the first 20 seconds.
Bree Jones, so crafty around the bucket, good footwork, little fadeaway there.
First bucket for Kelsey Mitchell, who's having a spectacular season.
Powers muscling it up, good, and one!
The team officially hit rock bottom during a brutal road trip, culminating in a blowout loss to the Connecticut Sun, where they looked utterly lifeless. They were held to a franchise low in points, turned the ball over nearly 20 times, and the body language on the bench was that of a defeated, broken team. Clark was visibly frustrated, Boston looked disconnected, and the rest of the players seemed resigned to their fate. It was the kind of humiliating defeat that either shatters a team for good or forces it to look in the mirror and make a drastic change. This was their darkest moment.
Atlanta is very reactive on defense right now. They are not dictating the way that we saw them in game one, and credit the Fever for their level of aggressiveness.
Mitchell whips a pass, left block, Turner, extra, Tosh puts it in! Mitchell from the logo, pulls, top of the arc three, got it! Inside, Boston, going to work, scores off the backboard. 8 seconds left in the third. Fever by a dozen. Dallas steal in the backcourt. Mitchell in the corner, guarded by Gray. 4 seconds to go. Boston to Hull, left wing, fires a three. Good! Hull hits with 0.3 to go in the third. Woo! Atlanta inbounds. That's it for the period. And the Fever are fired up. 59-44 with 10 minutes to play.
But then, out of the ashes of that embarrassment, something finally shifted. During a rematch against the Chicago Sky, the very same team from the infamous incident, a new energy emerged from the opening tip. Clark, instead of forcing difficult shots, began actively and deliberately looking for Boston in the paint, feeding her perfect entry passes with a newfound sense of trust. Boston, in turn, started setting bone-crushing screens to free up Clark for open threes. Playing with a renewed fire, it wasn't a single play, but a consistent series of them that proved they were finally starting to speak the same basketball language.
And they have allowed her in their half-court sets so far to just take open drive to the rim. There's the three.
And fans didn't appreciate how good Kelsey Mitchell is, and they're certainly getting an eyeful this year. Here she goes. She's guarded by Petty. Takes it right to the basket and misses. It's a hit for Mitchell. Stephanie White wants to see her go downhill, be more aggressive offensively. This is a great matchup. Boston against Jones.
Just a fun matchup between two big posts with size, with good anything.
Freed from the shackles of a broken offense, the Aaliyah Boston that the league remembered was completely and totally unleashed. She began calling for the ball with an undeniable authority, dominating smaller defenders in the post and finishing through heavy contact 4-in-1 plays. Her scoring and rebounding numbers shot back up to her all-star levels from her rookie season. It was a powerful, defiant statement to the entire league. She was not a background character or a sidekick. This was her paint, her team too, and her partnership with Clark was about to become the league's biggest and most unstoppable nightmare.
Both teams around that 40% mark. They didn't hit that in game one, and that's a good way to go for Natasha Howard. Gray goes down. What is she? Good patience by Howard. Mitchell bounce pass. Natasha Howard, and it rolls in.
Howard has had great activity tonight. Oh, got a size advantage on Jordan Canada, so she can use her length, even though Jordan Canada has the advantage in quickness.
Terrific cut by Hull and a good find. Good shot there by Pow Pow. You never think it's the youngest player on the team that gets you settled in on offense. But they're not getting the stops you asked about.
This resurgence wasn't a one-way street. It was fueled by a silent but significant adjustment from Caitlin Clark herself. The phenom who had broken college scoring records by taking any and every shot began to evolve. She started trusting her teammates more, especially Boston. Instead of launching a contested 30-footer, she'd make the smart, simple pass to Boston in the post. She wasn't just playing point guard, she was becoming a true floor general, learning that her greatest weapon wasn't just her scoring, but her ability to elevate the players around her. This maturity was the missing piece of the puzzle.
Petty dishes, middle of the paint. Timpson pivoting. Timpson around the defender. Shot, good, and one. And this one was worth the wait. Final score, Fever 77, Dreams 60. And we will talk to you on Thursday night in Atlanta.
Great job! That was a masterclass on the defensive end of the game. Hell yeah, ladies! Hell yeah! It really was. It really was. I mean, I'm so proud of you. Stepped up to the challenge, back against the wall, and our back is against the wall every fucking game. But y'all, look, I'm proud of you. We ain't finished though, right? We ain't finished. KK, way to be ready. Yeah! The second half, your aggressiveness, it was a difference maker. What it opens up with the gravity that you create is huge for us. You gotta stay aggressive. Hell yeah, Breezy. 1, 2, 3. Together.
So what really happened behind those closed doors to spark such a dramatic turnaround? While we'll likely never know the full story, it's clear a major adjustment was made at the core of the team. Whether it was a brutally honest, no-holds-barred players-only meeting, a one-on-one conversation between the two stars to clear the air, or a coaching ultimatum from the front office, something forced them to confront the dysfunction head-on. They had to make a choice: let their egos and the outside noise sink the franchise, or learn to trust each other and win. They chose to trust.
Steph holding them to 60 points today. What did you see that was so effective from you guys defensively and really turned this game?
I mean, our aggressiveness, our attention to detail, our ability to contest without fouling, to be disciplined, in that area, I thought was huge. We played good enough defense down there, and our offense just couldn't get going, and we were able to get it going on both sides tonight. I continue to just be so proud of this group and their resilience, their toughness, and their ability to respond.
Kelsey, going into a do-or-die game 3, what excites you about that opportunity as a competitor?
I think it would be a really good challenge for us. I think, obviously we want to win a game and they want to win a game, so I think somebody has to lose and somebody has to win, obviously. But I think that we take tonight for what it is and start mentally preparing once it hit 12 o'clock and being able to go into what's important for Thursday. And so, like I said, it's a big opportunity tonight, but you gotta let it be the moment and let it kind of fuel you for Thursday, but you gotta move on.
What followed in the second half of the season was the unstoppable duo we were all promised from the very beginning. The on-court awkwardness was completely replaced by a fluid, devastating two-woman game that was nearly impossible for defenses to stop. Clark's unparalleled court vision, combined with Boston's interior dominance, created a pick-and-roll that carved up even the league's best teams. They were seen celebrating together, hyping each other up after big plays, and most importantly, they started stacking up wins. They silenced all the critics, not with words or interviews, but with undeniable victories on the court.
Steph, for game 3, how much does a win like this give you guys confidence that you can close out the series in a tough situation on the road?
Yeah, I think that this is a group that's confidence has really never wavered. We've been in every kind of situation you can imagine, and we've been able to find ways to put ourselves in position to win, and this will be no different. Obviously, it's going to be on the opponent's home floor, but it doesn't matter. I think for us, our if we maintain our attention to detail, if we continue the defensive effort that we had tonight, and we shoot with confidence, we give ourselves a chance, and this group is continued to show their heart, their character, night in and night out.
The Indiana Fever season wasn't the perfect fairy tale everyone expected, but it became something far more compelling and perhaps more valuable. A raw, unfiltered story of survival and growth. Clark and Boston were pushed to the absolute brink. Their partnership tested by intense media pressure, brutal on-court struggles, and rampant locker room speculation. They didn't just survive it, they emerged from the fire stronger, smarter, and more connected than ever. The biggest question is no longer if they can coexist. The question now is if anyone in the WNBA can possibly stop them. The rest of the league has officially been put on notice for years to come.